The college football playoff has already expanded, but would Ohio State benefit if it continued to grow?
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast. Part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And during today's show, we'll discuss the potential of a Big Ten SEC challenge. But first, the college football playoff has already expanded, but would Ohio State benefit if they continue to grow? And anytime I think about CFP expansion, I immediately think of the NCAA tournament, where in the NC2A tournament, there are automatic qualifiers and at-large berths. And if the CFP continues to expand, the Big Ten will automatically get 4 teams into the big dance. And you can think about even some of the oddest years in your lifetime of being an Ohio State fan. The Buckeyes are probably going to be in the top 4 of the conference. If Ohio State gets an automatic qualification to get into the big dance, they're probably going to make some noise while they're there. We saw it in 2024. The Buckeyes were benefited because the playoff expanded to 12 teams, and they won the national championship. And that same thing could happen if the CFP expands to 14 or 16 or 24 teams, because the Buckeyes have a good shot to automatically get in. I'm not the biggest fan of expansion. I'm not the biggest fan of automatic qualifiers. I'm going to get that out of the way really quickly here, because I don't think automatic qualifiers are great for the sport. I don't think that expansion is great for the sport. But when it comes to Ohio State, throw my own personal thoughts and opinions out the window, because what we saw in 2024 was a team that benefited from expansion. I was a person that thought going to 12 was crazy. I was a person that thought you could stick at 4, 6, or even 8 and call it a day, because outside of the top 8, there really aren't teams that have legitimate shots to win the national championship. Even with the weird seeding Ohio State had in the playoff, where they were the 6th seed in the poll, but the 8th seed in the bracket, they were top 8 team in the bracket, and they won the national championship. And I think moving forward, not if it's 14 or 16 or 24 teams in the playoff down the road, I think you're looking at a situation where Ohio State is going to be able to make noise. They're going to have a coach that's going to put them in the right position to be successful. They're going to have the talent to have success in the postseason. They're going to have a quarterback that will scare some teams. They're going to have a defense that's hungry and plays nasty. They're going to have that type of formula that's great for postseason play. What we saw from Ryan Day in 2024 was a eye-opening thing, where Ohio State used some of Ryan Day and Chip Kelly's experience from the NFL, being able to switch some things and bring guys in to help guys be fresher in the playoff, and it worked to success. Now, I would have loved to have Judkins or Henderson get more touches. Maybe one guy have close to 225, the other guy have less, but no. Ryan Day said that's not going to be what we're doing this year. We're going to try to split things up, keep our guys healthy for the long haul, and it worked out very, very well. And all this stuff about CFP expansion, we've been hearing about it for 2 or 3 or 4 years now, going to 14 teams in 2026. Ross Dellinger of Yahoo Sports recently did some reporting discussing some possible changes to the format of the college football playoff. And Ohio State's right in the thick of it. No matter if it's a 14-team format or a 16-team format, Ohio State would benefit from the Big Ten getting 4 automatic qualifiers. There are some other things we're going to talk about later on in the show in regards to some things that might change about championship weekend that might even help Ohio State there too. But the 4 automatic qualifiers are big for the Big Ten. It's going to get more money. It's going to get more teams in the big dance. It's going to help you out with recruiting. It's going to help you out with job security. I mean, it's going to help you out in so many different ways. And the Big Ten is in it for money. It's in it for power. The SEC wants more money. The SEC wants more power. And when the top 2 conferences in the sport are working together to get more money for each other and also gain more power for each other, it's a dangerous combination. Because if there's a 14-team format, 8 of the 14 teams will come from the Big Ten and SEC. If there's a 16-team format, half of the teams in the bracket, at least half, will come for the Big Ten and the SEC. That's insane. That's odd to think about, but that's where we're moving with this sport. And with Ryan Day's mindset right now about having to adjust on the fly and change whenever the wind blows in regards to the things that are changing in this sport. Ryan Day is going to be one of those coaches that adjusts quicker to the 14 team or the 16 team format than some of the coaches that are stuck in their ways. Dabo Swinney didn't want to adjust to the portal, didn't want to adjust some of the things he was doing with the NIL. And what do you find? I think Clemson is a team that would normally have the talent to get to the promised land. But unfortunately, I think them being slow to change and a little stuck in their own ways has caused them to get left and to get jumped. I mean, there's no reason why Clemson and Georgia should not be on the same playing field. There's no reason why Ohio State and Clemson should not be on the same playing field with the way that we've seen Dabo Swinney kind of burst onto the scene as being the head coach of the Clemson Tigers. It is not just winning the national championship game, multiple national championship games. Even before that, we all remember that Orange Bowl. I don't want to bring it up, but Dabo Swinney started to have some success. Sammy Watkins, I still remember some of those plays he made. I forget the quarterback's name. Was it Taj Boyd? Man, it was not fun to watch him that day. What was it? Dabo Swinney figured some stuff out. And then he got left behind. Now, Ohio State and Ryan Day, I don't think they're going to get left behind. Now, they may have been slow with the NIL, but Ryan Day wasn't slow with the portal. He was just trying to figure out the right way to handle it. And when he figured out the way that you get the quality guys over getting the quantity, buddy, it worked out to perfection. And I think moving forward, even this year, Ryan Day's taking that same approach, and that's going to help Ohio State down the road. If this thing continues to expand like we think it's going to, you're going to find Ryan Day change via the revenue sharing that the schools are going to be revenue that the schools are going to share with the athletes or with the NIL and the collectives, or maybe Ryan Day's utilization of the portal, whatever it is. You're going to see Ryan Day, who is in his mid-40s, be able to tap into some of his knowledge of the NFL, be able to realize you have the coaching staff that can help you adjust on the fly. A better coaching staff that some schools have, even in the Big Ten. You are equipped with the top resources. You're equipped with the finances that you need to be one of the top tier teams in the sport. And this is also going to help Ohio State. Nobody wants Ohio State to go 10-2. But in all likelihood, it's a bigger chance that Ohio State does not go undefeated in the regular season than that they do. The one time Ryan Day went undefeated, no, there was 2 times. The 2 times Ryan Day went undefeated in the regular season, one, he made it to the national championship game. The other, it was an unfortunate loss to Clemson in the playoff. Those are also his first 2 times coaching at Ohio State. First 2 seasons, one of them was a shortened season. Saw Ohio State go undefeated in the regular season. That's a rare accomplishment. Most teams don't even do that. I guarantee if you go through the history of some of these football programs, some of them have never, ever gone undefeated, even in the early days of the sport. When there weren't that many games you played in the regular season, going undefeated is tough. And when you can help yourself, maybe schedule a tougher non-conference game, or maybe you can help yourself, maybe the Big Ten may give you a tougher conference schedule, or maybe expansion in the conference. All of a sudden you have a Clemson come to the Big Ten or Miami come to the Big Ten, and you find out, wow, this is a whole lot tougher than we think. And you have a non-conference loss and maybe 2 regular season losses. That 9-3 regular season will help you, will hurt you, but he'll be helped. That's the word I was looking for at the time to discuss the Buckeyes being helped by CFP expansion, be it automatic qualifier. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. I am not a fan at all of CFP expansion. Doesn't need to go past 12, doesn't need to go by 14 or 16. But if they're going to give automatic qualifiers, that's going to help Ohio State's chances of getting into the big dance and making noise in the postseason. We saw it in 2024, and as this thing continues to expand, it's just going to help Ohio State even more have a better shot to get into the big dance, the playoff, big dance, a different sport, get into the playoff and make a lot of noise while they're there. Well, making a lot of noise while they're there is great. This also helps Ryan Day. We'll discuss that next. This is a message from our sponsor, Intuit TurboTax. Taxes with dealing with piles of paperwork and frustrating forms, and then waiting and wondering and worrying if you're going to get any money back. Now, Taxes is easily uploading your forms to a TurboTax expert who's matched to your unique tax situation. An expert who's backed by the latest technology which cross-checks millions of data points for 100% accuracy. While they work on your taxes, you get real-time updates on their progress. And you get the most money back guaranteed. All while you go about your day. No stressing, no worrying, no waiting. Now this is taxes. Intuit TurboTax. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Thank y'all for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. If you're a new listener or viewer of the show, welcome and thank you. And make sure you subscribe to Locked On Buckeyes and also hit the notification button so you get notified every time a new show goes live. One thing I love about CFP expansion is that it helps Ryan Day create job security. Ryan Day in 2024, while his job was not in jeopardy, he created job security and also got some financial gain by it as well. $12.5 million a year. Got locked up via Ohio State through the 2031 season. He is a man that quickly changed the narrative about him by winning the national championship. And if you want to do one thing in any profession, you want to make sure you got job security. And one thing you're going to see as this thing continues to expand, it's going to help Ohio State and Ryan Day continue that marriage and help Ryan Day have more job security. It's also great when your boss loves you, not just your immediate boss in Ross Bjork, but also the man at the top of the totem pole for the entire university in Ted Carter. It's great when those two guys work with you and they love you. And even if some things don't go your way along the way, they're still right there rooting for you and cheering for you and backing you. That's what Ryan Day had going into the playoff, even after that devastating loss to Michigan. He had his bosses rooting for him and cheering him on and saying, hey, man, you got this. Yeah, that thing sucks. That thing was horrible. That thing still stings. But we're still going to be able to fight for another day, and we're still going to be able to get the things right. And I think moving forward, that's going to be for every coach, not just Ryan Day. I mean, look at James Franklin. James Franklin is a walking 10-2 coach. In any given year, you can also almost pencil in two losses, one of them being to Ohio State, the other being to Michigan, in any given season. But what James Franklin did in this past season was show everybody expansion is perfect for me. I get into the big dance. He got to the Final Four. He was very, very close to getting to the national championship. And when you're that close, and when you do a lot of good things, and you're a walking 10-win regular season winning coach, what are you going to do when you get to the playoff? Buddy, you better continue to win. That's exactly what he did. He helped himself with job security. A guy like Dabo Swinney, who I don't think is on the hot seat at all, honestly. I think Dabo Swinney getting to the playoff helped him out a lot. And even if he didn't get it, I don't think Clemson's moving on from Dabo Swinney anytime soon. He's been there too long. He's done too many good things. You've won multiple national championships. I think Dabo's. It's not like he's walking in. They're going 5-7 or 3-9. What are they? 9-3, 10-2. That's good. That's a good football program for Clemson. Not Ohio State. This is good for Clemson. But I think the job security piece is huge. It's also going to help some of those assistant coaches get different jobs. I mean, expansion is great for so many routes and so many avenues, but also it's going to help it helped Justin Fry. It helped Chip Kelly. And Chip Kelly may have gone to the NFL anyway. Like, he's got those connections, and he's just that kind of offensive mind. He wants to be an offensive coordinator versus a head coach. I get it. Less stress. It's what you're best at. So go ahead and do that thing in the National Football League. Also, if you can triple your salary, go ahead and do that too. I wouldn't be mad about going from $2 million to $6 million in a snap of the finger. Buddy, sign me up for that every day of the week. Because trust me, my wife and I are doing some things right now with our family. If we were able to triple our salaries, my salary and her salary, man, it would make life a whole lot easier right now. For Chip Kelly, you're already a millionaire and you're getting more millions. Buddy, it makes a whole lot of sense. I love the job security piece for Ryan Day. I think Ryan Day is a good human being. I think Ryan Day, what I hear, that he donated $1 million after signing his contract to mental health advocacy. Who is going to get mad about that? Nobody. Somebody might, but they shouldn't. Those are the kinds of things and humans you want in the program. Those people that want to help you not only on the football field, but also want to help you off the football field. And if you're struggling with something, they're right there in your corner. Think about Harry Miller. My goodness, he was under so much pressure. And I remember Harry Miller being talked about on this show and kind of analyzing its play on the football field. And I remember seeing things on Twitter and seeing things on social media that kind of disgust me. Now we weren't on here saying some of the vile things people are saying, but man, Harry Miller was someone that was fighting for his life. We don't talk about heavy stuff on this show, about life and death stuff. This is supposed to be an escape for all of us as sports are. But when there's real life stuff you're dealing with, we're going to bring it up. And Harry Miller was literally fighting for his life. Medically retired from football, a sport that at one point I thought he would have a shot to play at the highest level. But medically, it was a thing he had to do to walk away from the game that he loved. And he got help from Ryan Day. When Ryan Day found out about Harry Miller's struggles, who was there to help him? Who was there to help him walk through various steps to help him better his life and to not allow those things to cause him to do some horrific things? Ryan Day. Ryan Day's there helping him with the resources. Ryan Day is there helping him being a coach and a mentor, the kind of person Harry Miller needed in his life. That's huge, man. I mean, Ryan Day's a good man. And also, I was listening to an interview with Ryan Day, and Ryan Day was talking about the faith impact on Ohio State's football team this year and how Ryan Day allowed the team, and while some of the players wanted to do some things with their faith and have some devotions, Ryan Day said, look, we can't lead it. If you guys want this, we can help you. We got the resources for it. And Ryan Day allowed certain Bible studies and devotions to happen there on campus. And all of a sudden, there were players that were leading these things. And there were players that were doing this. Even during the playoff, Ryan Day looked at a group of players in a room and he's thinking, this isn't a meeting we have right now. What's going on? And Ryan Day realized, oh, they're having a Bible study during the playoff in a hotel lobby or room. I don't know what kind of room it was. That's Ryan Day. And I don't know Ryan Day's faith. I don't know what Ryan Day believes personally. I know he believes in the mental health stuff. I don't know what Ryan Day believes as far as like spiritual things, but I do know Ryan Day realizes sometimes there are things that are going to benefit the players on this team that they're going to lead. And I got to let them do it. If it's in a benefit of a human being, go ahead. Also, there are some things that I need to do. Also, that we can do as a program to help the individuals that are struggling. That's the kind of man you want leading your program. That's also the kind of man that's going to be benefited via CFP expansion. I can't stand that I'm saying this once again, but I got to, because CFP expansion is something that I've been pushing back on even before they did it during the BCS days and they were thinking about going to expansion. I'm thinking, why? Why? I get it now why you had to go past 2, but I don't think 12 or 16 or 3,080, whatever the number is. You don't need no more teams in this big dance, baby. You truly, truly don't. One thing I would love to see from Ohio State and some other teams in college football is a Big Ten SEC challenge, and it's something we might get sooner than you think. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. A Big Ten SEC challenge is right up my alley. When I'm playing EA College Football 25, one thing I try to do is in the non-conference, try to schedule a team from the South. While I've only done a dynasty with the Ohio State Buckeyes, that's one thing I want to do. The venues are amazing. You can do an Ohio State versus LSU at night. You can do Ohio State versus Bama, Ohio State versus Georgia, Ohio State versus Florida. Fill in the blank SEC school. I am there. Sorry, Vanderbilt. I really don't want to do that. Sorry, Kentucky. Sometimes I don't want to do that. South Carolina, great venue, great atmosphere at times. I still don't want to do that. I want the big boys. I want them teams that have a legitimate shot to win the national championship. And if you can do a Big Ten SEC challenge, it's going to help a lot of fans. It's also going to help a lot of schools make a whole lot of money. And think about what that would mean for Fox or ESPN, who own the home games for these two conferences. Think about what it would mean for Ohio State when they do have their home and home, which won't be a part of a Big Ten SEC challenge, but they got a home and home schedule with Alabama. They have one scheduled with Georgia. I want them to have one scheduled with Florida. The Georgia Tech thing, I glossed over them earlier. I can give it or take it. It don't really matter. But I think some of them schools down south would benefit and would love this. And I think Ohio State, it would help them in the non-conference. Now, it would be a tough one. You can walk away with an L. You can walk away with a W. Regardless of the result, if expansion leads to a Big Ten SEC challenge, that's going to help Ohio State be better prepared for the playoff at the end of the season. But also, there's kind of a 4-step process to get to this part. There's a third step here that is the Big Ten SEC Challenge. There's a fourth step that I didn't touch on earlier that was in Ross Dellinger's report via Yahoo Sports talking about more expansion. But one thing is guarantee CFP spots. Once they're guaranteed CFP spots for the Big Ten and the SEC, while there needs to be a unanimous decision via all 10 power conferences, and then also Notre Dame and their athletic director there to move forward with a particular format. I do think that guaranteed CFP spots is one of the steps to get to a Big Ten SEC challenge. Number 2, you have to assure the SEC moves to 9 conference games, which is something they should have done a long time ago. You basically eliminate that FCS school that you play before you play your big rival. A lot of the schools schedule that, maybe a Mercer or somebody else before they play their biggest rival. It's kind of a cupcake. You get to rest your guys and then be better prepared and healthier for the biggest test of the season. And so I think that's something that is, you expand, you can't continue to play 8 conference games. It's just mind-boggling that the SEC and the ACC still have 8 conference games that they play. The SEC and ACC both need to play 9 conference games. It just makes the most sense for there to be a unified view of scheduling. Doesn't seem crazy at all. You go to the NFL, you go to the NBA, there's a unified view of scheduling. Everything is in unison. Now in the NBA, you know the teams in your division, you're going to play 4 times in a season, 2 away and 2 home. You know there's going to be some teams in the East, let's say the Pacers now. You're going to play some of them 3 times. You may play some of them a different amount of times, but you know you're going to play certain teams a certain amount of times automatically. The teams in the West, you're going to go and play a home and home, 1 on the road, 1 at home. They try to even out the number of back-to-backs. They made the All-Star break a little bit different. Everything is with one purpose. It's a unified approach to scheduling. The difference between that level of the sport in the NBA and college basketball or college football, the conferences have so much power, they don't have to be on the same page. Oh, we're the Big Ten, we're going to do this. Oh, we're the SEC, we're going to do this. Oh, it doesn't work out because we're not in lockstep with our approach to scheduling. Who cares? We're doing this, making our money. Who cares if we're unified? The people that are leading the sport, I think they're getting more on the same page. That getting on the same page is a massive benefit for everybody. Now, the SEC people are going to say, well, I don't know if we want to play another school in our conference. That could be another loss. That's why the automatic qualifiers that the Big Ten and the SEC would get. The Big Ten would get 4, the SEC would get 4 in the 14 or 16 team format. The Big 12 and the ACC would both get 2. So all the power conferences would get automatic qualifiers, not the same amount, which I think is smarter. If they're going to have automatic qualifiers, why in the world should the Big Ten and the SEC have more? What if it's a down year and the ACC or the Big 12 is better? All of a sudden, no, we only got 2. You got 4. Your 4th guy is not bet. Look, the whole thing is stupid. I haven't said that in a while. Yeah, actually, I think I have. I want to keep saying it. It's stupid. When you have 2 conferences that have so much power, this is what you get. It benefits Ohio State. It's also pretty stupid. But at the end of the day, Ohio State is going to be helped by expansion. But the third step in this, let's get back to track, is the Big Ten SEC scheduling agreement. There's a Big Ten SEC non-conference game every single year. Then the fourth step is to remake the conference championship weekend. That's the part I haven't tapped into yet because, well, it's number 4, and I wanted to wait till this part of the show to dive into it. So the 4-step remaking conference championship weekend, there would be 3 games. 2 of them would be play-in games. You would have 1 versus 2 in your conference in the conference championship game. And then 3 versus 6 and 4 versus 5 would be play-in games for the final 2 automatic qualifier spots for the Big Ten. So let's just say if you look at any given year, I'm not going to say names or schools. This year, I will say this. It was Oregon and Penn State, 1-2 in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten championship game. Then you have 3-6 play and 4-5 play. Just like I think expansion is stupid, this is stupid. Play-in games are so dumb. You already have 9 conference games in your regular season, and that is supposed to help decide in any way who the best teams in the conference are. You decide to expand. You decided to go out here and to do some things crazy and to bring teams from the West Coast over to a Midwest conference. But, it's about the dollars and cents, and bringing USC and UCLA in is going to get the Big Ten Network into more households. And bringing Oregon and Washington in is going to help us expand to another TV market. Great. All that's cool. But then let's think about this. You want to have play-in games? Is that going to help the regular season? Absolutely. What's they going to do? Make more money? Absolutely. I still think those regular season conference games mean a whole lot, and they should not get diminished because somebody in a given Saturday couldn't play well enough to win a game. Yes, you play to win the game, and if you get on that field, if you have a bad day, you better overcome those obstacles that you put out there on the football field to end that day victorious. But no, a play-in system in the NBA is dumb, and a play-in system like this to get into the playoff is dumb. There's no reason why this 5th and 6th team in a particular conference should have a shot to get into a playoff when in the regular season, during the 9 games, they didn't get it done. Don't reward that. No, don't do that. It's stupid. Man, I love this sport, man, but I keep saying stupid because the powers in this sport, some of them you know, some of them you don't know. What we know is the powers in this sport continue to make dumb decisions over and over and over, and they let the dollar dictate so many things they decide to change in the sport. Think about it. The fact that we're in a 12-team playoff format, it's not about trying to find the best format to get a national champion. Absolutely not. Baby, they bought them Benjamins. And they want them Benjamins to fill up their pockets and overflow. That's all they want is more money. And what are you going to do if you go to 14 or 16? It's not about trying to make sure more people get into the big dance or to make sure the G5 is represented in the playoff. That's that nonsense they try to spew out there to try to get you to not focus on the reality. That's about money. All of this is about money. Conference championship games are about money. They don't want no conference championship game. Absolutely not. Does anybody truly care that Oregon beat Penn State in the Big Ten championship? No. What do people talk about at the end of the day? Oregon getting beat bad in the Rose Bowl. Penn State blowing and losing to Notre Dame in the Orange Bowl. That's what you talk about. Ain't nobody truly talking about the Big Ten championship game because the playoff means a whole lot more. This 4-step plan here, the guaranteed CFP spots and assuring the SEC moves to 9 games, I think that's realistic. I think the SEC will move to 9 out of pressure. I think you're probably going to see a spot where there is a 4-4-2-2-1-1 model for the 14-team playoff bracket. I'm not a fan of the expansion, but that's probably what you're going to get. The Big Ten SEC Challenge is something that the ESPN and Fox would love. Trust me. Joel Klatt is a guy. If he could get Alabama, Ohio State on Fox, he would love it. Would he prefer a big noon? I mean, probably not for his fandom. He's a company man, so he's going to try to say big noon this, big noon that. I prefer the Big Ten SEC scheduling agreement way over expansion. But reality is, you're probably going to get more expansion before this agreement gets put into action. Thank y'all for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes here on this Tuesday and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen of the day, check out Locked On Big Ten because my guy Craig Sheeman is the guy that puts the Big Ten first when everyone else overlooks it. Find Locked On Big Ten on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter or any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked on Buckeyes here on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.